for a second say why we should be so excited about this. Because take two examples of stories that I did as an investigative journalist. One on sex trafficking in South Africa, exposed young girls being sold into Nigerian human trafficking networks that I was investigating over several months. Stark, horrible piece. These are children that were dead of AIDS at 16. And the South African government had made a pledge to pass a law against human trafficking. They didn't pass it for another 3 years after I wrote that article. I did another story in Bloomberg Businessweek where I found slavery in the New Zealand fishing industry. These were, again, horribly sexually abused workers, verbally, physically abused, held in debt bondage, catching fish that wound up in retailers, wholesalers. Sorry to say we named Safeway in the piece, but we named what we found. And lo and behold, in 48 hours, there was significant change. Governments can take years to pass laws and then never even enforce them. A major corporation that has the capacity to switch suppliers can make a market impact, can change the lives of millions of individuals by virtue of how they decide to source. This is extraordinarily exciting.
And until they stop viewing it as a PR problem and start viewing it as an HR problem, meaning there are people working for you who are suffering great pain, then we won't get anywhere because CSR has to be enforceable. So you have some, we have prohibition against forced labor and it's this piece of paper. Well, how are you enforcing that? And there need to be agreements with consequences and incentives that make sure that happens.
In the fishing example, the midstream suppliers, the public corporations that were sort of mid-cap, $300 million, $400 million publicly traded companies in one case, that publicly traded company lost a third of its share price over the next quarter. The CEO was eventually pushed out by the board of directors. He'd been there for 19 years. Fundamentally, that company is now reflagging all of its vessels. It is becoming part of the solution. Why? Because they lost millions of dollars. And that ultimately is how you affect, I think, a change at scale for millions of the most vulnerable people in the world. More questions? I will say this. Our perspective is that you don't have to have unethically sourced products in order to be competitive on cost. We've seen this. The models that we've run show that you can increase operational efficiency. You can reduce worker turnover, which is a key aspect of quality interruptions and productivity lags. And ultimately, you can do things like rip out boilers to replace with more energy-efficient boilers to reduce energy costs. You can fundamentally transform these factories from the inside out. It takes money. The brands don't want to spend money. That's where we see market opportunity.